Howdy, friends. It's Steve DePoe here with the Rose Realty team with this week's real estate vlog for North Texas. Today, house hunting tips. We've done this kind of vlog in the past. It's always good to bring it up every now and then for those people that are either first-time home buyers or maybe haven't quite haven't looked for a new home in maybe a bunch of years, or people that are kind of still trying to get over the frenzy that we had here in North Texas over, the previous 2 or 3 years. So house hunting tips. Now I saw the house online. It's perfect. Let's make an offer. We don't have to see it. Yeah, no. Okay, that's not a really great idea. And I'm going to be honest with you. So as realtors, we're going to make the pictures look outstanding. If there's anything in the neighborhood like two blocks over or next street or whatever that's undesirable, we're not going to tell you about it. And it's good to see the house and the environment and the neighborhood in person, live and in person, to make sure this is what you're looking for. Also, with pictures, the pictures, the color sometimes can be off, right? So what you think is a beige wall is really yellow, those kinds of things, right? Depending on the way the light hits it, etc. So it's always good before you make an offer to see the house live and in person before you make an offer. I want to buy this house. Look, there's an agent right here. Okay, so what this is referring to is one of two things. Either, maybe an agent's walking out of the house with their clients, or there's an agent sign out there that says, hey, call Joe for this house, that type of thing. Here's something you should understand, right? Number one, if it's the agent walking outside, with their clients, he or she's potentially working with them, and so you've got competing offers with the same agent. Not really a great idea. He's invested to the people he knows longer. Or if you call them the name and number on the sign, the issue with that is you're calling the listing agent, and the listing agent actually has a contract with the seller. Okay, so you want your old agent. Now, in our case, the Rose Realty team, you're going to see my wife Rose's name on the sign, and she's going to yell at me down the hall saying, "Hey, Steve, I've got somebody who's interested in the house," and then I can represent you, which is, the best. But, you don't want to necessarily use the persons whose name is on the sign because they technically work for the seller, right? I'll rely on an online home value estimator. That's that's from a seller, right? Those estimators can be off by as much as 50%. There's a real huge company out there that has an online estimator that a lot of people have used, in the past. And it's not really the best idea because those, again, number one, they don't do the research that we do. And number two, they're off by as much as 50% sometimes. So I've had people say, hey, my house is worth $1 million when it's really worth like, 750. Or my house is worth, 400 when it's really worth 625, right? So get somebody, you get somebody who's going to do an estimate for you. Call in a real estate professional who's going to sit down with you, pull the comps, give you the reason why your house should be $75,000 more or $50,000 less, based upon the comps, the other houses that sold, et cetera, and not some online hocus pocus stuff. Okay. I don't have kids. I don't really care what the school districts look like. Yeah, maybe for the immediate short term, yeah, okay. But here's a couple of things, right? If the school districts stink, then when you go to sell your house in 5 to 10 years, people with kids are going to be looking at, the school district and say, this school district stinks. Okay. And so I'm not going to move there with my 2.3 kids. Okay. The other thing is this, if you have a school system that isn't the best, there's a strong possibility that the district, in this case, the county or the city, would be increasing that portion of your property tax that goes to schools in order to improve the schools. It's typical government throwing money at a situation. So they're going to raise, that portion of your property tax in order to help improve the school system, which may or may not work. But then you're subject to higher property taxes, and potentially in the long run. If the house doesn't have everything I want on my list, I'm not looking at it. Again, not such a great idea, because if it had, let's say, 80% of the stuff, there was a time when we searched for 80% of the stuff that's on our must-have list. Okay. And we settled for 80 because we knew that other 20%, we could put in later. We could spend our money, add to the value of our house, and do the work later. Now, there's a lot of people today, yep, 100%, I get it, who want move-in condition. I don't have to do anything on the house. I don't have to replace the floors. I don't have to replace the appliances. The paint's in great shape. I want the house. But when it comes time to maybe doing a little bit of fixer up, and they don't want to do it. And there's a couple of reasons for it. Number one, they just flat don't want to. Okay. They don't want to get involved in tile work or painting or something like that. Okay. The other thing is the supply chain, right? Can I get enough simulated wood tile or engineered hardwood or hardwood, to do my whole house in, with today's supply chain shortages? Okay, so it's a great question. But again, if the things that you have to have, there's some things you have to have. Okay, so as an example, if it's like structural, like what I mean by that is, so you work from home. Okay, and so you have to have 2 bedrooms and an office. Otherwise, you're not looking at it. Okay, well, how about if it had 3 bedrooms and you can convert one of those bedrooms into your office? Okay, so you think about it that way. So I get that. You need that extra space in order to shut the door, to make your phone calls, etc. I'm with you. I'm there every single day. Okay, so it's not the best idea just to say nope, but if it's got 80% of the things, let's go see it. Call me, let's make an appointment, let's go see the house if it's got like 80%, of what you're looking for. And then finally, I'll figure out this HOA thing after closing. It's better to understand what the HOA thing is in your particular community before rather than after. Now, when I represent you, there's a form that we fill out, that we request from the seller and the seller's agent give us the information on the HOA that we'll even pay for, so that we understand what the HOA is all about. So there's a community that I know of that the HOA dues are actually double in this kind of a duplex area, because the HOA takes care of all the exterior stuff, like the roof, the painting, the landscaping, the lawn. Okay, so you're paying double, so you don't have to worry about that kind of jazz. Okay, it's important to understand that, and it's important to understand what all of that means to you and your pocketbook and the future. Okay, also what's covered. Like, for example, here at Robeson Ranch, the misconception is that the golf course, some of your HOA dues goes to subsidize the golf course. It doesn't. And a lot of people have thought that for like decades. Okay, so it doesn't go to subsidize the golf course. And so understand what your HOA dues are for, and what they're not for, and what they go towards or not. Okay, it's real important. I hope you got a lot out of that. Next week, I'm going to talk about the benefits of buying a house. Cool topic, considering where a lot of us today have just finished, kind of involved with our taxes and talking about net worth. This is Steve. I am with the Rose Realty team. I'm out.